All right, I'd like to welcome everyone to the City of Fayetteville June 16th, 2022 Nominating Committee meeting. And present is myself, Sarah Bunch from Ward 3, Teresa Turk from Ward 4, Sonia Harvey from Ward 1. And did Mark say he was going to be here, or is he just going to be late? I don't know. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and start with our first interview tonight, and that's Robert Stafford. Bob.
Yeah.
And he's applying for the Fayetteville Arts Council. Hey, Bob, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm insulted Mark's not here, but I hope he shows up.
Just Okay,
he usually
Bob,
gets here pretty soon. Maybe he'll make it here shortly.
He's usually here.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bob, why don't you you've been on the Arts Council. Is this your second term you're applying for, or?
Yeah, so I just completed a first term, and this will be my second term.
Okay, why don't you tell us a little bit about, why you want to reapply, and what are some of the goals that you would like to see happen on the Arts Council? And because I know you've got some ideas there.
Yeah, and I would say, and I hope you guys received the answers to my questions, because I put them in a attached PDF. But I would say right now, the thing I'm most excited about, and something I've been working on for 3 years, literally 3 years, is that we're about to hire our arts and culture coordinator. And, I brought to City Council myself with Sarah Marsh a couple of years ago. The city didn't feel it was the right time at that point, but now it is, and we're very excited to get this position filled. So one of the top reasons I want to continue is that now I feel like we're getting somewhere, and I have a chance to collaborate with a arts and culture director, and to foster the Arts Council's collaboration with that new position. I think it's going to be a vitally important position. I think I want to be a strong advocate for that position, and to make sure that they have the resources, hopefully the staff they need to do their job. And that's one of the big things I'm going to be advocating for myself on the council. I'll say, as far as my experience thus far, I was elected chair twice. I wasn't eligible for a third time, so they decided I've been elected vice chair, and I'm currently serving as vice chair. I sit the Ramble Steering Committee on behalf of the Arts Council. I sat as the Arts Council representative for the interviews for the new Arts and Culture Coordinator position. I came to the Arts Council with a big list. I'm very proud that I've knocked a lot of things off those lists, but I still feel there's a lot of things I want to advocate for. Community studio space, workspace for artists, learning spaces for artists, and hopefully at some point live workspaces for artists, and finding ways that we can work with developers to make that happen. I've been a strong advocate for the arts. I think you all know that. My attendance is, I think I've missed maybe 2 meetings. I think I know I missed one, and I might have missed a second one at some point in 3 years, 3.5 years. So I'm dedicated. I'm looking at the answers to my questions here, and seeing if there's anything, beyond that, that I need to bring forward. I want to continue my role on the steering committee and assist the new Fayetteville Arts and Culture director. I'm just going down my own list here right now. I think I want to find parity when we do come up and I think we're going to with this new position, that person's going to find fundraising ability and capability to support some of our organizations. And I think one thing important to me is we make sure we have parity and start supporting a wider group of organizations. We have lots of small and medium-sized organizations here that have not received any benefit from the city, and especially over COVID, a lot of these organizations have been it's been difficult for them, you know, and some have faltered. Luckily, most of the ones I know still exist, but it was a difficult period. And so I want to make sure that we're lifting up all boats, that everybody has a chance to receive grants and funding, that we're not just, I'm a advocate at Theater Squared. My wife and I hold season tickets every year. We stepped out during COVID, but we're getting ready to get our opening night tickets again. We go to the WAC a lot, and both of those organizations are great and awesome, and the city is treasured to have them. But when it comes to seeing all the resources just going to those two entities, I think we need to start looking at the broader picture. And that's something I'll advocate for as well. I know Sonia and her, she sent out an email to the Arts Council today. We did have an episode recently, a couple months ago, dealing with diversity, and we lost two of our members of color, two of our representatives from that community. And it was a meeting where one of the members didn't feel listened to, and I had gone back and watched the meeting 3 times, and she was right. I don't think, you know, we addressed this at the council. We issued, you know, we confronted it because we knew this was something we needed to look at and deal with. That we couldn't just like go, oops, sorry, you know, good luck, but that we really had to address what happened and why. And I felt we've started that conversation. We brought up the issue. We issued a public acknowledgement and apology. And as I brought it up to the council, because a lot of times people can get defensive, and you know, I said, this isn't, nobody intended to not listen or to brush aside a conversation that might have been an important conversation. But I think what happens is when uncomfortable conversations come up, that it's our natural inclination, you know, a lot of us, you know, we want to be polite, you know, so we kind of like, oh, let's talk about this shiny object over here. And so I don't think anybody had intent, but we had to talk about impact, and whether or not there was an intent, there was an impact, and the impact was that this member didn't feel listened to, and we lost the other member quick, kind of in solidarity, and we lost 2 active and important voices on the council. So I'll say that's something I'll always address, you know, and make sure that everyone is heard. I had conversations both with both
so
people
Bob,
that resigned, and I work with our chair to actually come up with a response. And
so Bob, I've got a couple of questions for you because our time is really short.
yeah.
So my first question is, do you all have a complete list of all the entities, all the other small organizations that you mentioned that have been overlooked? I mean, does a complete list of all those groups exist somewhere? And you all have it?
There are drafts of a list. That list has not been completed. I think we have, you know, our you know, Mount Sequoia, Art Ventures, Phoenix, I forget the name of the small theater company, but we really have to dig deeper and build it out, because there are a lot more. I mean, I think we're down to 2nd tier, but we really need to get a more inclusive list. So that's something I would also be dedicated to.
Yeah, I really think that needs to exist somewhere. I just, you know, since I'm not on that, or since I'm not part of that group and part of that sector, I just don't know where a list like that resides. But my second question is,
we have a public Dropbox I believe the list is in there, the draft. Like I said, it's not something that's up on the city website yet, because we want to make sure that everybody's in there. That I don't want to play favorites, like where it's like your group is in there, but yours isn't. So
Right, that would be a really great milestone to have that completed. A second question, and again, because we're already behind time, is do you have any people of color still on the council after these two folks resigned?
Sonia Harvey.
Okay, but no
Because
other
we
members.
lost Anthony Blank. He moved to Springdale, so we lost him last year.
Okay.
Well, now, my understanding was it Anthony Ball, or what was his name?
Yeah, Anthony Ball. Yeah. He did forget to reapply, but he didn't reapply again because he had moved to Springdale.
Yeah, so, okay, so that kind of is a little bit different than the
Yeah,
others
for
here.
some
So
reason,
I'm hoping-
Jacob or Anthony did not get notices that they needed to reapply. And since, and I think they weren't keeping track of it themselves. But in later conversations, when talking to Anthony, and encouraging him to apply again, he had moved to Springdale, so it was no longer.
Okay. One way we can fix that is whoever you work with at the city, when you hand out your agenda.
We've done it
put
right
that
now,
all
as a
in there,
matter
and
of
then they're
fact.
there every month, so.
Right now, on every agenda we get every month, it has our own expiration date on it.
That's very
So we've
helpful.
already made those changes to make sure that will never happen again.
Because you're not the first, or, council or, organization with this, one of these volunteer.
Yeah, and I
groups
think for
that
some
have
people
that.
it's difficult to remember because they get put on and they're filling out, it's not a full term, they're filling out a term. So, maybe like I think Allie has to reapply, and she'll be interviewing with you this evening. And she's only been with us 4 months, but because the way the terms were and that she was filling an unexpired term, she has to already go through the hoops again.
Okay, so Bob, we've got to move on to our next interview. But the drill. We take a slate of nominees to the city council on Tuesday, and you can watch the meeting or you can call the clerk's office to find out if you were selected.
Okay.
I think
I would like to just ask one question of all y'all, because I didn't get renominated to urban forestry last year, and John Scott had actually asked me to apply again. And I was like, no. I told him I didn't have time, but the reason was I didn't want, if I was on that board again, that I wouldn't be on this board again. But I want to make sure that nobody has any questions or concerns that I can answer now about my reappointment.
I don't think so. Does anybody have any questions for Bob?
Okay.
Sonia, do you
I
have
appreciate
any
it.
questions?
No questions. No, I have one comment, just for the group and for Bob. Bob, we really rely on you for the understanding of the history and where we are, where we've been because of your longevity with the committee. So I look forward to serving with you again, and I'll be advocating for your reappointment. So
Thank you.
Thanks for all of that you do.
Thank you. And if you haven't read my recommendations, Allie has been so wonderful since she's been on, and I just want to give you a public recommendation for her reappointment as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Who's up there now? Participants. Oh shit. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm trying to ask Jonathan to unmute, please. Hey, Jonathan, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to try and make this really short and sweet here. We're running a little bit behind, but you are applying for the Public Facilities Board. for the Fayetteville Housing Authority. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us, give us a little rundown on, now, have you ever been on this board before?
No. This would be, I actually emailed you a few weeks ago about volunteer options because
Oh,
for some
okay.
reason I had thought the committees had passed their acceptance date. But
Did
with your
I think I emailed you back, didn't I?
Mhm.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure. 2 weeks is like it's gone from my mind. So tell us a little bit about why you chose to apply for this board.
Well, I looked at the available committees, and the public housing one was the one I was most passionate about. I think the mission statement of the board to provide affordable, safe, and good quality housing to residents is one of the most important things the city does, and I want to do my little bit to help.
Okay. So how familiar are you with this particular committee? Have you read any of the agendas or anything like that, or followed any of the meetings?
I have watched quite a few of the meetings in the past few meetings, and have read up on quite a number of agendas. I have a good understanding of the current financial state of the housing authority, and how many people they serve, all the different moving pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Without access to the actual information, I can't, I don't know everything, but I'm trying to
But you've made a
familiarize
good
myself
start, it sounds
as
like.
much as possible.
Okay, great. Sounds like you made a good start into learning more about this this committee. What do you see, like, since you've looked at some of these meetings, looked at some of the agendas, what do you think are some of the challenges that the public facilities part of the housing authority is facing?
Frankly, just money.
Sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't know I had my phone on there. Scared me to death. Yeah, that's kind of the problem that everybody's facing, I think.
And yeah, I don't know the problem well enough to
Okay.
give a good answer.
Okay. Okay. So does anybody else have any questions for Jonathan?
Sure. Hey, Jonathan, this is Sonia. Thanks for applying. Yeah, so I'm glad you were able to check out the agendas and the meetings. The group, has been through quite a lot lately, and it can be a little bit, I feel like they've had to deal with a lot of confrontation, and they've had to deal with the state HUD coming to visit, and possibly the removal of the housing authority completely from the city of Fayetteville has been discussed because of the situation. So in that type of environment, how do you handle confrontation and kind of a little bit uncomfortable type situation like that? How do you gauge the way you had handle that kind of thing?
I think at the beginning, it's very important to simply listen and figure out what's happening. There's a lot of documents to go over. There's a lot of opinions to be heard. And until I get a much more full picture, I can't start contributing to these disagreements and to the resolution of these disagreements. So first is just learn as much as I can, figure out how I feel about all these different issues, and then go forth and be patient, be calm, avoid public arguments, if that makes any sense. Like, try to hash out my differences in private with different people and see what we can agree to prior to, disagreeing with someone like during a meeting like this.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, thank you for that response. I think Teresa, I usually ask about, let's see, no, I guess you already said you have attended meetings and gone and watched and read agendas, so that's great. And I think, do you have, Teresa, when that's meeting regularly, or do you know, Jonathan, when it meets regularly?
I don't have that pulled up. Jonathan, before you leave, I wondered, have you been reading the newspaper articles about the Housing Authority? Are you aware of those discussions that have been going on?
I am not.
Okay.
What newspaper would that be?
Well, the Northwest Arkansas Dem Gazette has had
Okay.
quite a few articles that you might, if you have time, you might want to go back and see if you could take a look at those.
I will.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of discussion about the Housing Authority in public. So, yeah.
I'll make sure I update myself.
That's a good point, Teresa, and it would be remiss of us not to make you aware that there has been some substantial controversy surrounding the overall Housing Authority.
I
And
mean,
there's
even
different
the purchase and then sale of
that would be part of
that
it.
complex, the motel.
Yeah, well, that's not exactly all of it, but that's maybe part of it. But there's some other things, and you really should familiarize yourself with those. It's that there's some, debt that's owed and things like that, and how it's going to be paid. And, like you said, just finding money for everything is a big challenge. So there's some things there that, maybe some improprieties or something that happened, but you just research it and do the best job you can. Okay. Well, Jonathan, what we'll do is we will take a slate of nominees to the City Council on Tuesday. We will, it'll be one of the first things that we cover at our meeting. You can watch the meeting. It starts at 5:30. You can watch the meeting, or you can call the clerk's office on Wednesday to find out if you were selected for this position.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your application.
Teresa, I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but I finally pulled up my all the committees, so I can look up pretty quickly now when things are meeting. Sorry about that.
No, you didn't put me on the spot, and I pulled mine up too. So we're ready to go now.
We're ready to go. Okay.
Megan, I need you to unmute yourself.
Would you also like me to share my video?
If you want to. I always like to see who I'm talking to.
Can you see me?
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
You go by Megan or Megan? Which one?
Megan, yes.
Megan,
Megan
okay.
or even Meg is fine with me, either one.
Okay. So, Meg, you are applying for the Environmental Action Committee, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about how you decided to apply for this committee, what prompted you to do that, and maybe kind of give us any background that you think might make you well suited to serve on this committee.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I would love to. Let me start with the background. So I am the Director of Technical Operations for a solar installation company. Our name is Perihelion, and we just arrived in town. And I do two main things there. A lot of what I do falls under the categories of efficiency and optimization. So working in the solar industry, I learned a lot about sustainability and just how deep the sustainability roots go in the state of Arkansas. And I learned that sustainability is absolutely the nexus of community, environment, and the economy, especially here in this state, at least in my opinion. And so for Perihelion, what I do to support not only our business, but our community and sustainability and the environment is a lot of development support for the company. and I coordinate on all of our deployed projects and make sure the method of procedure goes according to plan. So with my support on development, what I do is analyze our current practices, research if there's any better practices or business partners that we need to be talking to. I set objectives and oversee their implementation. Then I monitor the results of those objectives once they've been implemented. And then I create reports and I report that to my superiors. And then I repeat the process. So moving to Fayetteville, I was wanting to be involved in the community, and obviously the Environmental Action Committee, or you guys, sounded like a great place for me to at least listen in and meet people. So I started listening to the videos that were on the website. And it was actually the burn permit thing from April. I was listening to Leaf talk about, you know, if we had an engineer, then maybe we could look at that data and maybe we would know about the results. And with the background in engineering, my ears perked up and I was like, this is something that I could do for the committee that I do professionally all the time. I could look at the data, I could look at, you know, the investment, I could help coordinate projects, I could give feedback, I could do reports. And I was super excited. So I was like, oh my gosh, well, how can I get involved? How can I help? And I saw there was this opening. And immediately I was like, I want to be part of this. I want to see what I can do for my new community. And I want to use my skills to contribute. And so immediately filled out that application.
Okay.
That's great. That's great, Megan. I'm Teresa. As you know, since you've watched some of the videos, I'm the
Yes.
council liaison on
Great
there.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, so we actually did kind of do a little bit of analysis and targeted certain households that had multiple burn permits, and we're actually doing some outreach with them and seeing if they'll do an additional green waste. So we've actually kind of followed up a little bit on that and looked at the data. But I appreciate your interest in that because, you know, of course, you know, if we can compost it and we have a great compost facility, why wouldn't we do that rather than putting CO2 in the atmosphere? So do you have any other, since you've been watching some of our meetings, do you have some other ideas that we really should be focused on in Fayetteville or with the EAC in particular?
I definitely, that was the main one that really caught my attention, especially since I felt like that was something I could contribute on. And I did feel like if there was any other projects that needed a similar type of contribution, that I would be able to help. I've most recently listened to the one from May and have been thinking a bit about the project where you guys were looking for like an engineering firm to work with and work with the homeless. So that's something that is not my niche. My niche is energy and that sort of sustainability and working with suppliers. But that was something that I felt that I could have at least helped in coordination with, and didn't have any edits I would make to that. I think it was going pretty well, but I'm definitely curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, we just need to keep the topic on the table and keep moving forward on that. So thank you. I appreciate your interest in this and some of your ideas. And I'm glad you've been watching the videos.
Yeah.
Sonia, do you have any questions for Megan?
I sure don't. No, I appreciate all the things that she's provided information so far.
Yeah, I do too. Well, Megan, you know, you've given us a lot to think about and had a great interview. What we'll do is we'll take a slate of nominees to the city council on Tuesday night. Our meeting starts at 5:30 and the council will vote on who we suggest. And you can watch the council meeting to see if you were selected, or you can call the clerk's office the next day to see if you were chosen, the city clerk's office. And we really appreciate your application, and thank you so much for taking time to interview with us this evening.
Absolutely. It was wonderful to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Is next Abby Mosier or Nicole Harding?
I'm Nicole.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. How are you doing, Nicole?
I'm good. How are you? Oh,
Self-muted you.
hello.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So it is 5:32. All right, Nicole, you are applying for the Environmental Action Committee. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So why don't you just give us just a brief rundown of why you've never been on this committee before, right?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Give us just a brief rundown of why you chose to apply for this committee and, what sort of skills, any particular skills that you have that you think you bring to the table of this committee.
I applied mainly because I think Fayetteville has a really strong chance of helping the environment, and we should focus on that. And I think that that's one of the main, I guess, passions I have in my degree. I took a lot of environmental political science classes, and I kind of have somewhat of an understanding about how money and just incrementalism plays into environmental action. So I think that that is a strength that I have.
Hi, Nicole, it's Teresa.
Hi.
Hi, I'm the council person on the EAC. Have you watched any of our past meetings? We meet monthly, pretty regularly.
I haven't. No, I'm sorry.
So we have a lot of different items that we've been talking about, burning of limbs and trees in Fayetteville and trying to figure out ways to reduce CO2 release from all the burning activity. And then we've also been talking sort of about some of the homeless issues and how that might affect water quality and how that kind of touches on the environment. Do you have any specific things that or ideas that you think that we should be looking into to improve our ecological diversity and environmental quality in Fayetteville?
I guess as pertaining to the homeless population, I actually live right by 7 Hills, and I've heard people complain about just being harassed by the police and not having access to water and things. So I wonder if we could make it, I guess, I don't know how to make it more accessible, but I guess that is a big thing that they actually want. I don't know if that's a suggestion though.
Right, and that's probably a different committee, but yes, I know it's an ongoing challenge. So, but I appreciate that perspective. Yeah. Anything else you think we need to expand solar or look at all other alternative energies or?
I think solar is a great idea. I also think that I don't know how far the reach is for the environmental committee, but the grid for energy, actually the non-gasoline powered cars, if we expand that, it is attainable to have all of the cars run on that. The issue is just having access for everyone to get a non-gas fueled car. So if there is a way to, I guess, decrease, I guess, our reliance on gas, that would be amazing. But we would have to definitely make it cheaper and more accessible for everybody, because the biggest issues we run into is resource allocation.
Right. Yeah, those electrical charging stations. It's really gonna take all the states and the federal government to help with that, to make sure that we've got enough stations so we can recharge our electric cars. I think downtown, I think we just put a couple more charging stations in. I think it was announced today, but it's, that's a real local thing that we've been able to do. Any questions for us?
So you said you meet monthly. Is it at the same time every month?
It is. It's on the third Monday of each month.
Okay, that shouldn't be a problem.
It starts at 5:30, and usually we go about an hour, but sometimes we have a lot of complex topics like the homeless issue, and we went to about 7:30. So it's one of the committees that this month is probably the first time that we're not going to meet, but we usually meet every single month. And so participation is a big, important item. Yeah.
Do you guys like go out and help volunteer to help these people, or how does do you legislate for them? Or
no, we do go out, we do invasive species removal. We have that a couple of times a year, and then we've started to do cleanups on the creek, from plastic trash, homeless items that got swept away in floods, and just cleaning up the creeks. So we've done that a couple of times.
There is a separate committee that helps with community service and grants and all of that, and helping out maybe homeless people, but there's no openings on that for this go round. So
okay.
Anyway, so what we'll do is we will take a slate of nominees to the city council on Tuesday. Our meeting starts at hang on just a second here, let me get this person. Hey Josh or Jack, we've got okay, sorry. So we take our slate to the city council on Tuesday at 5:30.
Okay.
And the council will vote on whoever we recommend, and they, we discuss it and they vote on it and all that. So you can watch the meeting to see if you were selected, or you can call the clerk's office on the next day, Wednesday, to see if you were selected for this committee.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, thanks a lot. Have a good evening. Bye-bye. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Abby. I guess Mark's not going to be here.
Would you like me to check in with him and see if he's having technical difficulties?
Yeah, you might.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check in.
Hi, Abby. How are you doing this evening?
Hi, I'm wonderful. How are you all?
Just fine, just fine.
Excellent.
So let me get myself situated here. Just a moment, make sure I got the right one. Okay. Okay, Abby, so you are applying for the Environmental Action Committee, is that correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
So tell us a little bit about your interest in the environment, and maybe what you think you might bring to this committee. Any particular skills or job experience you might have?
So my particular interest in the environment is I live in it, and I see how it changes every day. And the environment that I live in, like I live in East Fayetteville, and my neighborhood is one of those neighborhoods that everyone has a garden. Every other neighbor has chickens. We have that perfect little, if somebody has too many squash, I've got too many zucchinis, like we all, get to hang out and talk and do that. And I love seeing everybody growing and doing those things. And it's something that, like, in my family, I have a text thread with my brother and my sister and my mom. And like, that's our everyday conversation, is how are we growing? What kind of interesting things are we doing in our yard? And so I really like the visceralness of the environment, that it's not just this big thing. It's also something that I'm in all the time. Part of the reason I would like to work from home, because then I can get outside whenever I get frustrated by callers and emails. So I can actually step away from that. So part of what I think I'd be able to bring is hopefully bringing that small scale bigger. I like the idea of the community garden, those kind of things, just implementing large scale things that come from the community. I think that's a really good call. I think people have more buy-in for things like that too.
Hi, Abby. It's Teresa. I'm the council person on the EAC. And it sounds like you're advocating for more community gardens. Are there other items that you think that we need to look into and improve and address with respect to our environment?
I would love community gardens. I mean, that's just something that every time you hear about it, the abandoned lot that got turned into a community garden, the abandoned building that got converted. those kind of things are just interesting. I love hearing about all those different kinds of things that happen in different cities and in different kinds of ecosystems. But things for Fayetteville, there are always, we always, you sit with your friends and you're like, if you could make a change, what would that thing be? Right. So for me, it's the public transportation, right? If we're talking about parking and traffic and all of those things that are a constant, you see us trying to develop solutions for, thinking about parking garages and things like that. To me, one of the things that really misses in our city is that we don't have a good public transportation system. And I know that Fayetteville has been pushing for active transportation, right? And I love that. I love let's have the bike trails, let's have the scooters, and now the new Evo bikes, which are super cool. Love that. But there are a lot of people that those don't work for, right? There are people also, whenever it's just hot and you want to go to work and you don't want to be sweaty whenever you get to work. I'd love to see a more robust bus system. I'd love to see a train that went from Fayetteville to our sister cities, right? I'd love to be able to, go to lunch in Bentonville, be able to have a cocktail in the square and ride the train back, that would be amazing. So more of those kinds of things that we could build on what we already have. We already have a transit system. It's just not very big. But if we could get, a couple more buses, that gets this many, get every 10 cars off the road, right? Gets 10 more parking spaces open for the people that ride those buses. Especially, I live in East Fayetteville, and when I was going to school, I wanted to ride the bus to school, and there's nothing over here. Like, even if you wanted to ride the blue buses, is it Ozark Regional Transit? They don't come to this side of town. And I was just like, why wouldn't we go to the cliffs and the neighborhood market and then just loop around? Like, that seemed like a good idea to me. So there's just a couple of those that for me, I'm like, we already have some of that happening. We should expand on what works about that and see where we could go.
Right. Well, we have the energy action plan that actually looks at some of those items that we're tracking, but the EAC doesn't really address transit directly. So yeah, that would be
I was looking at some of those today. I was looking at the website and like, oh, so there's this idea and this. Oh, that sounds nice. Ooh, what if?
Yeah, we actually have I guess, Sarah, you're on that. Maybe Sonia is too. I'm not sure, on the transportation committee that looks at those kind of issues more directly than the EAC. But it is all part of the environment. Yeah.
Right. It is all part of the thing. If we're talking about climate change and reducing emissions as part of, because that was part of the action plan too, right? Is to get our city emissions down. So that would be city vehicles, city transit, things like that. If we start with incorporating them as early as we can, makes us look even better.
So Abby, have you, you mentioned you had gone to the website. Have you done any, have you watched any of the recorded meetings or read the agendas or anything like that for the?
No, I started to dive into that and just said, well, I'll see what this is. I'll start here and see what they're all about. And this is a more comfortable place to start, and then to say, oh, okay, this is the kind of people we're talking about. Let's go look at this, see what kind of feedback people get. I like that too. I like starting at the personal and then building a little bit more.
Okay, great. All right. Let's see anything else here.
Well, I'm not sure if we've covered or not when the meetings are held, but they are the third Monday of each month at 5:30. Is that something that is available time for you, Abby?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I get to make my own schedule, so it's a nice thing. So that's one of the a couple years ago I started working voting, which was part of the reason I was even looking into the city website, right? Is I was looking into voting days and seeing which days I wanted to work the early vote. And so that's been really nice for me because I get to say, hey, those hours that we don't have good coverage, I can change my schedule to be able to, work that coverage for voting. So it's really nice to be a part of that too.
Okay.
Great.
Well, great.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Abby before we close? Okay, thank you so much for applying, Abby.
Yeah,
You
you're
had a good
welcome.
interview and everything, and you just seem really, enthusiastic. But,
I am as kind of my default state.
well, I totally get it. I totally get it. So what we're going to do is we take a list of nominees to the city council on Tuesday at 5:30. This is when we have our city council meeting. And
Okay.
the council votes on our suggestions. And you can watch the meeting to see if you were selected, or you can call the clerk's office on Wednesday to find out if you were selected.
Okay, awesome.
Okay,
Hey,
thank
this
you
was
so
really
much.
fun. I like kind of seeing how things work. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for applying. We really do appreciate it. And
Yeah, y'all have a wonderful rest. Thanks.
we're going to have a lot to consider when we go through all these nominees tonight.
I
But
bet.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was a happy lady.
Yeah, is that it saying, I want what she's having?
Yeah,
So-
I'm not ready for that today. Hi, how are you doing? Is your name Shabana? Is that how you say it?
Perfect, thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I always want to make sure that I pronounce it correctly. So Shabana, would you tell us a little bit? You are applying for the Walton Art Center term ending 6/30/25.
That's correct. I'm actually a visual artist. I live in Fayetteville. I've lived in Fayetteville for 14 years. We moved from England to here. So I went through the immigration process. I lived in England for 30 years. I discovered my passion for creating actually at the Community Creative Centre, which is a part of the Walton Art Center. And I discovered my passion there, and I launched my art, and I've been very active in the art community since 2017. My full resume is on my website. I've had shows throughout Arkansas, in various states. My artwork focuses on identity and immigration and the identities of South Asian culture. And I paint portraits of South Asian women wearing traditional scarves. I don't know if you can see that. You get a quick glimpse of it. That's actually a print.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yes.
So that's what they are. And a lot of my work really does educate communities on immigration and on the South Asian community, which we have loads of South Asian immigrants in Northwest Arkansas in Fayetteville. So it's been a way to educate people as well. And the Walton Art Center has just been amazing in terms of supporting me. Before the pandemic hit, they called upon me to be a part of an advisory committee. I got to work with Peter, Scott, and Jason, and we worked alongside several other South Asian creatives to come up with the Mosaics Festival, which celebrates South Asian culture. And that was a mixture of art, food, performances. So I spent, a good amount of time working with them on that. And that was just, it was very eye-opening for me. There was lots to learn, which was great. It fell in nicely with my art, and I got a chance to work with them. And, we put this together for the community, and it was authentic performances. It was authentic of what we knew in the South Asian community. And when those shows did roll out, we got so much great feedback from the community. But sadly, the pandemic did hit, and a lot of those shows and activities were pulled back. But that is my experience of working with the Walton Art Center and actively attending classes at the Community Creative Center. The Walton Art Center has been an inspiration for me as an artist, not just for seeing visual art, but theatre performances. That's where your inspiration comes from. So artists in Fayetteville need to have places like that to go. People coming in from out of town need to see that we've still got that, and the Walton Art Center does that so well. So it would be good for me to now be involved in the Walton Art Center through the board and learn more about the Walton Art Center, be able to give back, be able to give my take on, I've worked with so many different art organizations. I've currently got a solo exhibition at the Fort Smith Regional Art Museum. And, that's a whole different team of people I'm going to gain so much knowledge just by working with them. Tomorrow is my artist lecture there, so I'm kind of organizing that as well. So there's so much knowledge you bring in just from working with different organizations in the arts, as well as physically showing and selling your work and doing artist talks. And it was really nice to bring that to the Walton Art Center and the Mosaics Festival. And the arts traditionally hasn't really looked at inclusion and diversity, and that's really changing a lot. And I see that with my work, and that's why I showed you my work. There are organizations that are opening up to it more, so that's really crucial for me to do that with my art, but also be able to do that for others in our community that are often overlooked. I don't claim to know absolutely everything about the Walton Art Center. I think that's the beauty of doing something like this, that I will learn. I will give everything that I have got and be able to kind of learn alongside that and with that.
Great. That's a fantastic answer and rundown of your experience here. And I really do think that, you know, we can always benefit from diversity in our community. We don't sometimes have that on all of these committees, you know, and I'm so thankful that you are applying for this, because one of the reasons that sometimes we don't get this on these committees is we don't have people applying for them. So, but I really do appreciate your application tonight. So Sonia, you're on the, you know, you're an artist, you know, do you have any questions for Shabana?
Yes. Hey, Shabana, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Long time no see. Yeah. So yeah, Shabana and I know each other from the art realms, and worked with, actually learned about each other and worked with one another through the let's see if I can remember what it was. The Business for Artists, Artist Inc. Thank you. Business Skills for Artists. And so and anyway, so Shabana's work is incredible, and she's incredibly talented and articulate, as you can see. She would be an incredible addition to the Walton Art Center Council, and we would selfishly like you on the Fayetteville Arts Council instead. But you know, maybe once you do your stint with Walton Art Center Council, you can come and join us at Fayetteville Arts Council. So I have no doubts that you would be a great leader in either one of those capacities. But it looks like the Walton Art Center has engaged you to already be involved, and so that's awesome. I'm glad to hear about that festival, and hopefully everything will come back to fruition at some point. So thanks for applying.
Thank you.
So Shabana, did you said were you an artist before you took classes, or had you delved into art at all before you
in
took
England?
classes?
I mean, I had a degree in business IT. My master's degree is in information management. I worked for a data research company in London. I was in the business corporate world. And then when we moved here, my husband had a work visa, and I cover all of this in my art, and it didn't allow me to work for 7 years. I almost went nuts. Yeah, it drove me crazy, you know, stir crazy. And that's where I'm grateful for the Walton Art Center having those art classes on Dixon Street, which is local to me. So that helped me out a lot. And then when I did get my green card, I decided to go full time with my art. And it's funny because all the skills that you learn in life, even with the corporate job, you still apply it to being an artist, you know, just organizing yourself, applying for grants, doing the workshop that Sonia and I did. That requires you tap into all of that experience. And that's the beauty of doing what I do. And I absolutely love it. And I'd love to contribute more on that level. I think it would benefit me personally and the community, and I'm willing to learn.
Well, I think you brought up a really good point that is probably very beneficial to you with this business background, because I hear lots of people who don't have a business background that are artists that really struggle with the management and the application for grants and all of the more business type side of being an artist. And sometimes it's really challenging. I don't have any more questions for you. I think you've interviewed very well. I think you'd be a great addition to this board. Does anyone else have any other questions?
No, just a comment. I applaud you for your changing your career. I mean, that's really pretty awesome, and all the work that you've been doing to make the Walton Art Center a better and more inclusive and expansive place. I really wanted to go to that mosaic get together, and then like you said, COVID hit. So thank you for all the work that you've done. It's impressive.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So what we're going to do is we take our list of nominees to the city council on Tuesday night at 5:30, and the council will vote on, our suggestions. And you can either watch the video or watch the live stream of it at 5:30, or you can call the clerk's office on Wednesday to see if you were selected. But I think you're probably going to get selected, honestly. So.
Well, that's really good to hear, and I really appreciate your time and listening to me, and just doing this in itself is just a great experience. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. We do appreciate your application and everything that you've done in the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jack, we're going to need to break for just a minute here because we
Okay.
only have 2 people.
Okay, sounds good.
Did you ever get a hold of Mark?
So I texted him at 5:41 and said, "Hi, Mark, Jack and IT here. Just want to make sure you're not having technical difficulties joining the nominating committee," and I never heard back. So
Okay.
it's been over 15 minutes. So I'm sorry, I don't know where he is.
Okay. All right.
So looks like we have Bill next. I'll just leave him in the waiting room, and then when we come back from break, we will let him in. Does that work for you?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me go back to the schedule. Are we supposed to have an official break right now, or Teresa jumped up like something was on fire in her house or something?
Ooh, yeah, she's not there.
Yeah, so let's just wait a minute here. So we don't need to record this part while we're waiting for her to come back. All right, so next we have Bill Sinacor.
Recording in
Let me get him
progress.
out of-
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you, Jack. Mr. Sinacor, is that how you pronounce your name? Okay, I need you to unmute yourself.
How was that?
That's good. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't hear you.
Is your name Sinacor?
Perfect.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely perfect. Most people
Wanna
butcher
make-
that name.
Want to make sure there.
Yeah.
I'm Sarah Bunch representing Ward 3. Teresa Turk is in Ward 4, and Sonia Harvey is in Ward 1.
Okay.
So you are applying for the Walton Arts Council, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you ever served on this board before?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about why you decided to apply for this board.
Yeah. Well, interesting enough, I've always wanted to give back to cities and residents and the guests of this area. We had kids for years, and just the time allotment, didn't provide that. So now that the children are older and out of the house, I have some time to do that. And we've been here for about 10 years, my wife and I and family, and we've absolutely enjoyed the Walton facilities, whether it be the Walton Art Center or the AMP or anything else that they're doing. And just absolutely loved what you do here and what they do here. And it must have been about a month ago, we were watching the Symphony of Northwest Arkansas Sona, and I just sat there and said, this is a world-class facility, and for the fees they charge you, it would cost hundreds elsewhere in the world to see this. And it's something that I want to continue to preserve and provide and help and be part of a team that provides this great programming, across all the Walton portfolios.
Okay. Making some notes here. So have you ever served on any other types of boards or anything, any volunteer boards like this before?
Nothing for a city. I served on a board for the Children's Neuroblastoma Foundation in Chicago, where we raised money for research and development for the cure of children's neuroblastoma.
Okay.
But yeah, now that it's out, there's a great opportunity. I'd love to get involved in this. And, I've been able to travel the world for the last 32 years with my job and what I do for a living. And I've seen many venues and I've seen many entertainers, and we are so lucky to have what we have here. People don't understand how wonderful this is.
Just
Okay,
the
so
fact that we were able to get Hamilton here is pretty amazing. Yeah.
To sit there and watch a symphony for $10, just about anybody can go. Just about anybody can enjoy that, and they're so good at what they do, and it's just so I can't say enough about it. It's wonderful.
So tell us about some of your favorite things at the Walton Art Center. I know you've mentioned Sona. Teresa brought up Hamilton. What have you partaken of at the Art Center?
Yeah, we usually partake in the musical type entertainers. We've seen harpists. We've seen I don't even know what he was playing, the gentleman, but he was from Asia, and he was playing a very cool type bass bongo, and he just incorporated that in there. We've seen some dueling pianos from people from Europe, and just all different kinds of things. Sometimes I don't even know what they are. I just enjoy going. Whatever we walk into, we walk into.
Did your kids ever go to any programs at the Walton Art Center when they were young?
The youngest one did through Fayetteville High School. My oldest never really. He lived here just in the summers because he went to school in Texas and now lives there. But my wife goes with me every time. And I was able to move my mother here from Chicago. She's 85 and she been here 2 years now, and she goes with us to everything we do. So she loves it as well.
Oh, great. One of the things that, the Walton Art Center is really active in trying to make available, they bring busloads of kids in to see, programs and stuff that many children might not ever have the opportunity to see and experience. And it just that little bit of just, having the chance to see the arts is really amazing. One of the amazing things that the Art Center does. And it, any child can see a play or hear a live, a symphony or musicians in a venue that they might not ever otherwise be able to see. And that could be the spark that produces the next, the next musician or, creative person. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, all they need is just that little spark, like you said, just to ignite that want and that passion, and you never know where they can take them.
So have you ever taken any classes at the community, the Nadine Baum Studio, the creative, community creative center? I'm trying to think of the name of it. I just lost it there for a minute, but
no, ma'am, I have not. No, ma'am.
Okay. Teresa, do you have any questions?
Bill, it seems like that you really love the diversity of the music that's there and some of the other things. Are there any areas that you could see a change or an improvement or something different than what they're programming now? Do you have any thoughts on that, or are you pretty happy with everything the way it is?
No, I would say for the most part, I would really like to see and have the opportunity to see more local or regional type acts. Those that don't play in those types of venues right now. but they're local to the area, whether it be, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, just some of those really good, talented acts, and because they're very close, and a lot of us don't know anything about them, but they're out there. So, and people can relate because a lot of the people that live here and travel here are from that 4 to 5 state area.
Great. Yeah, that's an excellent suggestion. Yeah.
So, Bill, have you ever gone to Artisphere? I think is that what it's called? Where they have the musicians that play around. It's kind of like it's a place. It's an event that the Art Center has where they bring all these musicians in, kind of like band camp in a way. All these people get together.
I've seen it on the listing of events, but I've never attended. It's always been one, specific event. So, but it looked interesting. I read through it all, and it did look interesting, but just haven't been to one of those yet. But I think we will. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Well, we do appreciate your application, and you've had a really good interview and given us a lot to think about. So what we're going to do is we will, at the end of our meeting tonight, we'll go through all the different, people that we've interviewed, and for every position, and we'll decide and make a slate of nominees that we'll present to the City Council next Tuesday at 5:30. And you can watch the meeting to see if you were selected. It'll be one of the first things we cover, or you can call the clerk's office on Wednesday if you want to find out.
And how many slots are you filling for this position?
Do we have 2 or 3?
Good question. Let me check my notes and see if I can find it. Or Teresa, do you have your notes?
I've got to check mine too. I don't have it handy.
I know we have at least 2. I'm not sure about a third one. I know there's at least 2.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Everyone have a good evening.
Appreciate your application and your love of the arts. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good evening.
You too. Okay. So we got, let's see here, just a minute.
Okay, it's 2 terms for Walton Art Center.
Okay. All righty. Hey, Justin.
I'm here, guys.
Mark, do not run off the road. Please
Eyes
don't.
off the road, Mark.
Okay, I won't.
Keep it between the ditches. Don't scare anybody else while you're at it. Okay. Justin, how are you doing this evening?
Well, if Mark gets pulled over, I want him to turn the camera back on.
Yeah, you know that the police are really, coming down hard on people that don't use hands-free devices. So just FYI. Okay. Justin, how are you doing this evening?
Well, I'm doing great. It's good to see everyone again.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. Thank you so much for applying. You're reapplying for the Walton Art Center, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about, give us a little rundown on, what made you want to reapply for this, and what maybe some of the challenges that if there's anything in particular you find challenging, or that you see that's gotten started and you want to be there to see it finish, or anything like that. Just give us a little rundown on that.
Yeah, sure. Really, I think I've enjoyed the last months or years. I don't even really know how long it's been. Everything runs together, but I think there's been a lot of progress made, and I think the future is, I think, about as bright as we've ever had from an organizational opportunity perspective, to make sure that the cultural arts corridor really becomes a shining symbol for not just Fayetteville, but for the region. And I think a connection between the city and the Walton Art Center is very, very important, not just from when someone needs to talk to Peter Niergarten about a project, or when Peter Lane needs to talk to somebody, but really just a little better understanding of what the Walton Art Center and the AMP and all of its properties really represent to the people of Fayetteville, along with this massive new neighbor, which will be running all the way up and down West Avenue. And I think for an anchor place like the Walton Art Center, it's really, really important that we embrace the opportunity to get the best that we can for the taxpayers out of this. And I think I'm super excited about being a part of the Walton Art Center again, just because I know most of those people are very passionate. I think most of those people, and it's not their fault. They just don't necessarily understand sometimes what the city is doing or why they're doing it, and they take it at face value, which ends up being incorrect most of the time. You all know more than anybody. You've got to take a few layers off the top before you can really understand why things are being done or why things are being asked. And we've got situations like that right now where I can sense there's some confusion. I would like to be on that board to help as much as possible with some of those bridge situations, whether it's a conversation or whether it's just reaching out and being as simple as asking a question. Because sometimes I find some of the conversations, and again, they're all great people, but they just sort of assume that something's being done because of a certain reason. And the question is, well, have you asked anybody, or have you, read into it a little more? And a lot of times the answer is no. Again, nothing against any of those folks that are on the board.
Right.
Many of them are, they're not all people that deeply care about Fayetteville as much as, I do and as all of you do. But understandably, even the people that are not what I would consider Fayetteville people, they still know how important the Fayetteville relationship is and the Fayetteville partnership between the Walton Art Center and the university and the city. So to me, I think it's an exciting time. I think the corridor represents a future that all generations behind us will enjoy. And it's a really good time to do it the right way and not get in a super big hurry if we don't have to. And I think those are things that, I do want to say, and it's not just because you all are here and I'm here, but I admire the willingness, it sounds like on your part, all four of you, to really make sure we do the right things and to make sure we have debate, healthy debate like the other night, where it's not just mudslinging and a bunch of people, people are passionate on both sides of every issue. Yeah. And you've just got to listen sometimes, even if you don't, necessarily agree with it. And that seems to be not the norm in politics, but it certainly seems to be what you all believe in. And I couldn't be more thrilled, but we don't have opportunities like this very often for the cultural arts corridor and the partnerships therein. And I think it's, to me, that's what matters the most right now is how can the Walton Art Center and its people and its resources help the city as much as possible to make sure that we do, as much as we can as a good neighbor in Fayetteville, because that's why that place was built, in my opinion, was to be an anchor cornerstone of the city. And I think it's done a good job, and I think it's only going to get better from here.
Okay, great answer there. And I do appreciate the fact that you served on city council, so you take that knowledge of the process that we all go through, and you take that to the arts, the Walton Art Center as well, because it is different, and sometimes assumptions are made that maybe aren't correct, and just have to ask sometimes. So.
Well, and it's even just like you just said, there's a little institutional knowledge ingrained in my brain from all those years. And I think something as simple as the other day was a good example. Someone in a meeting at the Walton Art Center said, no, wait, what's the difference between an amendment and resolution and ordinance? And, those are not, like, I used to think everybody knew that, but 99% of people probably don't, right? And so it's things like that I think are helpful. I mean, could other people do it? I mean, of course, but I think, I just want people to make informed decisions and also give everybody an opportunity to ask those questions of not only you all, but the public in general, because I think people are looking at what we're doing with those tax dollars and they want, they want the best possible outcome. And we're already seeing things come to fruition with the Fay Jones Woods and the corridor starting to develop, and people, I think, are excited. And it's not just the art community. I think a lot of people are. So just a really important time.
Well, I think you've hit on some really excellent points there. Mark, glad to see you're off the road. Sonia, do you have any questions? Or Teresa, do you have any questions for Justin?
I don't have any questions, Justin. It's just good to see you, and thanks for participating in that last meeting. And like Sarah said, that it's great to have a city council perspective on the committee, and appreciate your service so far. And hope to have you reappointed. So thanks for everything you do.
Well, thank you, Sonia, and thank you for your service too. It's unbelievably difficult, and you don't get many thanks. So I will thank you on behalf of the citizens in my family, because they certainly get it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say also, Justin, that was very helpful the other night, your perspective and bringing that to the table. And so thank you for those comments, and also bridging that gap that you're talking about, because there are these institutional things that, unless you've been in the hot seat or lived it for a little while, it's really hard to understand the city's mindset. And I'm sure the same thing is true with the Walton Art Center, because they're a big institution as well. So I appreciate that role that you have played, and hopefully will continue to play.
Well, thank you, Teresa. I appreciate that. And there's so many similarities that I've seen through the COVID crisis, where you all as a city were able to weather the storm. And I know we're not completely out of it, but to not have to, a lot of cities were financially ruined almost, and had to lay off people and had to do this. And the Walton Art Center was no different. There was a lot of really traumatic moments that we were able to withstand through that. And sometimes people, will just stop any member of the Walton Art Center board of directors, and they'll say, what's going to happen? What are we laying people off? Are we doing this? And it's the same with the city. And the fact of the matter is, you just do the best you can with what you've got. And now on the back end of this, hopefully, again, the back end of this, knock on wood, the city looks to me to be relatively healthy in comparison to most others. And the Walton Art Center, as of this moment, in my opinion, is healthier than most others around the country, because we've used your approach, which is, let's do what we can without doing anything kind of crazy, with also an eye in the future to make sure that if something happens or continues, we've got a little backup plan. So I see similarities with both institutions, and it's really been hard. So I commend all of you for getting the city through this mess that we've been in for 2 years.
Yeah, well, thank you for those very kind words. And we've all been, it's just been a weird time, and we all just try to, just work through it the best we can. Justin, I don't have any problem at all recommending you to the council for this position. I think we're all pretty supportive of that. Mark, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Hey, good seeing you, buddy. Yeah, I'm still here, and I missed you a lot on the council, a lot, and your perspective. But it was good to see you the other night at the meeting. So, yeah, I would support you in a minute. I think. No, I would.
Well, I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you very much. The support is mutual for all of you. It's just, I tell people all the time that get sideways and they make comments. I'm like, you need to understand that these are passionate human beings about the city who absolutely love it. They wouldn't love it if they didn't give hours and hours and hours each week to it for, let's be honest, not what your value is worth and not what your time is worth. So really, really appreciate all of you for what you do.
Well, thank you so much again. Now, you know the drill. We take a slate of nominees to the city council on Tuesday, and it'll be one of the first things we vote on. Actually, the first thing we vote on. And so you can watch the meeting or you can call the clerk's office. But I think you're going to have quite a bit of support from this committee tonight. So,
well, I very much appreciate it and look forward, if that happens, to working with you all as we move towards what I think will be a critical time in the corridor and the relationship between the city and the Walton Art Center. So thank you all very much.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Justin. You have a good evening.
Thanks. You too. See you later.
Bye-bye. Abby, are you there? Hi. We're running behind tonight.
No worries.
But so you are applying for the Fayetteville Arts Council, is that correct?
That's
and
right.
Did you apply for this last time?
Yes, and I'm on the Arts Council currently, so I'm
okay.
I'm back. Long time no see.
Yes, I was like, all right. Well, tell us. So, how long has it been since you've been on there? Just
I've been to 2 meetings, so 2 months, I guess. I think that's right. Was it 2 or 3? I think 2.
Yeah, 2 or 3. Yeah. Okay. All right. So evidently you're not running away from the Arts Council. Then you want to sign up for a full term. So tell us a little bit about your experience so far in the few meetings you've attended, and kind of let us know where if there's anything you'd like for the Arts Council to be working on, places where you see there might be engagement with the community or improvements or something that we might do.
Sure. It's overall been really great, and I've appreciated the opportunity and really enjoyed the opportunity to connect with people kind of who care about the same thing and care about arts and culture in Fayetteville. So that part of it has been really great. And also, getting to be a part of those conversations and hear all the presentations from everyone that comes and chats with us has been exciting. There are, of course, things to work on. The first few that come to mind are, well, first of all, I guess I want to start by saying that I'm really excited for the arts and culture director to come on board soon, and kind of see how the vision that they cast shapes what we're doing and kind of informs the whole Fayetteville arts ecosystem. So that's something I'm really looking forward to, and seeing how they can also help with some of the foundational, I don't want to say issues, but for lack of a better word, issues and challenges, a few of which there's kind of I've seen that there's a bit of a lack of resources to tap into, both for some of the work that we want to do externally, and then also for some work that we want to do internally, including some diversity and inclusion training, both in general and specifically in representation in public art has been a question that has come up. That is one that I think is really important for us to have a meaningful conversation there, and be able to get the people in the room that are able to facilitate that conversation. Of course, it would be great for those people to be on the council. And then also, if there were financial resources to bring in someone who's an expert specifically in that space, I think that is one thing that would be really great for us. And yeah, those are kind of the things that come to mind from my limited experience. And I think those are very timely right now.
I think you're right. Those were very great answers there. Sonia, do you have any questions for Abby?
I don't know that I have any questions, but I just want to maybe give a comment. So I've been able to see Abby come in and just jump right in and get to work with the Art Council, and I love her
that she brings kind of a design perspective, craft perspective, business perspective. She's very apt to get us resources where we might need them, and committed to a professionalism to the group. So I'm very much looking forward to recommending her to continue. And it's been a very short time, but I've been very impressed in the amount of time that she has already served. So yeah, I would love for your voice to continue at the table on the Art Council, Abby.
Well, thank you, Sonia. I appreciate that.
So Teresa, do you have any questions for Abby?
I don't. I appreciate your perspective, and I know you've only been there for 2 meetings, so it's kind of been a short time period. But it sounds like that you've really tapped into that group quite nicely, and you provide a lot of diversity on there with your particular kind of art. So thank you for participating.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to.
And I endorse what Teresa said. I'm so glad that you're on there with a different kind of art, and it's important to have that kind of different perspective. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, Abby, I think you've done a great interview. We're all familiar with you from when you interviewed just a few months back, I guess a quarter back. And, really appreciate your willingness to participate in this committee even more. And so what we're going to do is, you remember we take a slate of nominees to the city council on Tuesday, and you can watch the first part of the meeting to see if you were selected, or you can call the clerk's office on Wednesday to find out if you were chosen. But sounds like, you've got a pretty good endorsement from Sonia there, and that carries a lot of weight with me anyway. So do you have any questions for us before we close?
Nope, I don't, but I appreciate y'all taking the time to chat again. So thank you.
And I appreciate you waiting for us because we were running a little bit behind there. Thank you so much.
Worries.
You have a good evening.
Y'all too. See ya.
Bye-bye. Okay. Do you guys want to does anybody need to take a quick break before we start? Okay.
I mean, a little 5-minute break would be awesome.
Let's stop filming for just 5 minutes and
recording
let
stopped.
everybody get up
The
and
recording
stretch.
has stopped.
Okay. All right.
Recording
so Jack,
in progress.
We're ready to
This
start.
meeting is being recorded.
Okay, we're back after our break. We've done our last interview, and now it's time for us to start our deliberation process. So somebody pull up the list here of all the positions that are open.
I've got that, Sarah, if you want me to.
Okay, thank you, Teresa.
And I have it as a backup as well.
Yeah, and I just, I'll just say, like, let's see, we had Jennifer Cole applied for the Animal Services Board. She was the only person.
And we
interviewed.
We have 3 openings on there. 1 business representative, 1 licensed veterinarian, and 1 citizen at large term.
Yeah. So, we just had 1 person apply. So she'd served on the Humane Society of the Ozarks and watched the past 2 meetings. I don't have, I would like to recommend her for that.
I'll second.
Okay, so all those in favor of Jennifer Cole for Animal Services, say aye or yes.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's
Aye.
Okay. We had Richard Roberts that applied for the Construction Board of Appeals. He was the only person that applied for that.
And we had 2 unexpired terms.
Yes.
I think he seems qualified. I think we should, make the motion to appoint him.
Okay, I'll second that. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Now, we've got, let's see, we have the Fayetteville Arts Council. Well, we have the guy that applied, Gil Gildner, who applied for the PEG board. And
he was great.
involved. He was good. He had been 8 years in broadcasting, or excuse me, was in broadcasting, a documentarian for 8 years, now does digital marketing, watched a few of the meetings. I could wholeheartedly support him.
So here's the issue. There's one unexpired term ending 6/30/23, and then there's one full term ending 6/30/26. So I would suggest, this guy is so qualified, that we put him in the one term ending 6/30/26.
I agree.
Yeah, that sounds good to me as well. I don't think he's going to be in a very good, space that matches what his interests are. So don't make him reapply real soon.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, I would be in favor of that. So all those in favor of putting him in the term ending 6/30/26, is that it?
Yes.
Okay, all those indicate by saying aye or yes.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. I think that's the last. We did have the guy that applied for the Public Facilities Board tonight, Jonathan Wood. I'm just going through the ones where we had one person apply. He looked at the available openings. I don't know. I mean, how many?
I don't know how many meetings they have. It might be good experience for him. This unexpired term ends at the end of the year. So it ends at 12/31/22. I'm just thinking maybe it would be for 6 months.
I think that sounds good.
I agree. And he was very interested. I mean, he had attended meeting. He had seen the meetings and read agendas. He was, had information about people being served. And so I feel like he was very, very interested. I'm kind of confused though. Did he apply for 2 boards? Because isn't public facilities and then FHAs, they're just 2 separate boards?
Facilities was different than.
I think he applied for both of them.
Right. So I'm not sure.
I could not put him on the housing authority. I could not support that. No, I looked at that. I looked at that wrong because I looked at it. I read it together, and I was, yeah. Well, but public facilities, maybe.
I think usually, we have it kind of more separate than we did on this occasion. So I think that's why it was kind of lumped together. And I agree with you, Sarah. I could support the Public Facilities Board, but not the Housing Authority.
Okay. So what are the thoughts of the rest of the committee?
I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he could. I mean, with 6 months left on the Housing Authority, I mean, I think it could be interesting to see what kind of his contribution and kind of the climate of it. But in terms of since he's interested in both boards, it may be good if I don't remember if he'd been on any boards at all. It might be good to start with public facilities since that's kind of.
I think I did not catch it. I was like public facilities / housing authority. Is that what that is? And so we talked a lot about the housing authority, but how many positions are open on the housing authority?
There's just one. So just to be clear, okay, there's one open on Public Facilities Board, and that's the one that expires 12/31/22. And on the Fayetteville Housing Authority Board, there's only one unexpired term that ends 12/28/26.
We actually have 2 openings on the Housing Authority.
Okay.
And what happened is,
or do we have 3?
we have three, but one of them is for a Mr. Ezra. I can't think of his full name. He passed away, and he represented the people that live in the facility.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so we can't, but they talked about at the Housing Authority meeting before we had our nominating committee. They talked, one person had resigned at that meeting, effective immediately, I believe, and they talked about they talked about the opening, and so we have two openings, and they also talked about the two people that they were going to recommend to us. So we actually have two openings right now.
So I would suggest that we have, I'm spacing his name out right now, Jonathan, right?
Jonathan, yes.
That we approve him for the Public Facilities Board that ends 12/31/22.
Okay. Let's take a vote on that then. Everybody in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, aye. Those opposed, say nay. Okay, I think that's a good spot for him there. Okay, so guys, now we've got, let's see. Looks like we've got, did we have 2 interviews for the Housing Authority?
We interviewed, oh gosh, it's like it was just yesterday, but it seems like forever
We had
ago.
Christina Cole. No, let's see. Christina Cole for Housing Authority. But didn't we interview somebody else?
Yes, we did. I thought we did. I'm looking through the list here though, and I don't see anybody.
Was it Christy? Christy, the lady that had the legal aid experience.
Yeah, Christina Cole was the one we interviewed.
Oh, there's got to be another one that we interviewed.
Let me look back through here real quick. Well, it probably won't be very quick. I'm going to have to go back through one of these lengthy threads of email, but I know I got 2. Okay.
So do we have the letter from Melissa that or whomever that were recommending people on the housing?
That's what I'm trying to find here.
Okay.
Which didn't go to me, it went to the clerk. So we advertised, there was only 1 position. Since then, there are now 3 openings. Okay. Okay, Melissa Terry was asking us to fill 2 of the 3 positions. Well, she recommended Jonathan Wood to replace Monique Jones.
Yeah, I'm reading that email as well on that.
And Christina Cole, which I think is a really good fit.
I'm just not so sure about Jonathan being on the Housing Authority. He's not up to speed with the current challenges that they're facing. He hadn't read the newspaper articles.
I don't want to leave them in a position where they cannot have a meeting because they have 2 vacant, but I don't know how many people are on that board, but also I think that, having people that maybe were not the best qualified in the past has been part of their problem. People that mean very well and have, really kind hearts, but maybe don't have the background. And I think that's what we need. I'm hoping Christina, I mean, of the two applicants, Christina is head and shoulders above Jonathan.
She has the perfect skill set and experience to help the housing authority through their troubled times. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want them to not have a quorum either, but it just seems like aren't they gonna have to re-advertise the other position, Sarah?
They will.
And they could advertise this open one at the same time to give more advance notice so more people can apply that may have the skills and the experience that will help them.
What does everyone else think? Mark, were you here when we interviewed Jonathan?
I do have a perspective on that. And I think, if I recall correctly, they can appoint their own, and what we say is just an endorsement or not. So I think that if I recall correctly, they still could put, because
well, let me go back through this lengthy email thread that has a whole bunch of stuff attached to it here. Let's see. They would like to nominate Christine Cole, replacing Commissioner Tiffany Hudson, and Jonathan Wood to replace Commissioner Monique Jones.
It's always been I think, a little confusing what the city council's role is in appointing someone to their board.
It is.
Because really, it's like some of the other commissions and committees, we're kind of giving an endorsement or not. And I think that what we can say is we do not endorse one and we endorse the other, but I think they have the opportunity to select their own.
You know, that's a good thought there, that I can check on tomorrow and find out some more about that. We could say that we have been asked to endorse these two candidates for these two positions. We can support one of them, but not the other.
I think that's okay.
You know, I don't know how this, I mean, this is always very odd because we don't really have we pick people to put on this committee, but we don't have a whole lot of oversight of it. So
I agree. And then we get bashed for not having that oversight or taking
I don't know.
action.
So what I can do is I can find out more about this because I honestly don't remember. We have always tried to back everyone that's been, suggested, and I don't know if we have the ability to not do that. But I can find out more about it and, send everybody a message tomorrow, and, we'll just.
So here's what it says on the website, on the City of Fayetteville's website. It says the board elects their own members who are then confirmed by the city council. That's all it says.
It's kind of like advise and consent. Do we consent that this person, it's not like we endorse or anything, but we could consent that, like I say, in the past, this has always been confusing. It was when I was on the board, and
yeah, I mean, now that I'm reading this letter from Melissa, and that she's asking for these two, and they're basically saying, these are the people that we want. I really kind of want to give Jonathan an opportunity to do it. I'm starting to think I might want to change my mind. I know we already voted on that, but now that I see this letter of the board, asking, I don't know, what do you think?
I think we can, well, great. My iPad just decided it needs to update now. So,
oh my.
I don't feel good endorsing him for this position because he really did not seem to have a good understanding of the challenges that he didn't know anything about. He just wanted to help, and that's great, but they're in trouble and they need people that can help them get out of trouble. And I can't endorse this person. So but, you know, if we can say, if you want to support them, we can say we had a split vote on supporting this, you know, whatever, we can do that and let the council vote on it.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think I want to support Melissa, who she feels is on the committee. I don't know if they've already maybe had a conversation. She's gotten them up to speed. And because it sounded to me like he did know and he knew what was going on and he wanted to assist the best way that he could. So
he did not know anything about, or if I remember correctly, he didn't know anything about the problems they'd been having. Zero about that. And he had not read any newspaper articles or anything. Am I right in that assumption? Did you hear that as well?
I thought he watched meetings.
He talked about, you know, they needed more money, but he didn't really give details, and he didn't really, I don't think he really understood that they were in big trouble with the feds, and all of the background information and history that's been going on recently. I don't think he understood that or was aware of it. And you know, Sarah, I think if you could find out more information tomorrow, like you talked about, you know, if we really are just a rubber stamp here, and that's all it is, not really an endorsement, just a rubber stamp, then I guess that's the way it is. But if we're asked to endorse and really approve genuinely, then I have a little bit of a problem with that, because I just don't think he was up to speed on this issue.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I think I think finding out information is definitely a good idea. And I appreciate you doing that, Sarah. I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt that they did their background, you know, her background recommendations. So that's all that I'm trying to help there.
I really do think this is like an advise and consent situation. And we could advise them that we have concerns, but we could still consent. You know, like that's a lot of federal situations. The Senate committee can advise and consent, or they don't consent. This is a tough committee any way you look at it. When you get on, you know, we just demanded people to go into training, and there's a wonderful handbook from the Housing and Urban Development that's readable, that talks about the relationship. I wish I had mine handy, but I don't, between cities and the federal program. And it's been, I think I was on that back in the early 90s, maybe up to 95. Anyway, whatever. I'm going with the flow here.
I will check on this and see what our, you know, what our position is. And I think we could very safely say, look, this is who the you know, the committee has chosen, and we, you know, either we're not endorsing this person, but, you know, we'll consent to this choice, you know, so they have a quorum, basically.
I think that's going to be important as they move along. I think all of us should keep our attention to this and try to get someone that, you know, we had good applicants last time, and I hate that they walked away. I'm just, remember, we had some good applicants.
We did. And I just wonder if it's because of the short notice that the word did not get out, and Melissa's really trying to get a quorum. That's what I'm wondering, because there's only 5 people on there.
That's right.
So, so right now she's missing, she needs 3, really. I mean, so
it's, you know, but it's unfortunate, but it seems like any, you know, maybe any warm body in, you know, in some of that I really don't like that feeling, but, you know, I really do like Christina. I thought she was very knowledgeable and could bring a lot to the table there, but I will find out about this. And I think let's see how we should end this. We're all,
We
We
want
will
somebody,
consent to their possible, their request, their applicant, but we do not endorse one of, or part of us endorse both of them and part of us do not. I think that
I'm
will
not
clarify.
endorsing. I'm not endorsing. I'm just saying I would consent.
Yeah, I think that's why I said that we can consent to their request, present it to the council, but we cannot endorse both of them.
and I
Or,
don't know if there's an opportunity or if it's proper, but a phone call to Melissa to say, hey, we just, you know, I
I
don't
am going to
know.
call the city attorney.
Okay.
Is who I'm going to
That's
talk
what
to.
I think so.
That's who I'm going to ask about this. But if we have to make a decision tonight before the next meeting, I wanted to you know, that if it's possible to consent as we described, but maybe not endorse, then that will be what we will do. Because I don't want to delay something where that we don't get a good person appointed because we don't have this, you know, everything worked out. So I think we can do that and it'll be okay.
I'm all for that.
Okay. Whatever that was anyway.
Whatever that was, it works for me.
Okay.
But I do think the city attorney will have an insight.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, call Kit. I'll call him tomorrow and find out about that. Okay, so do you want to do, well, let's do the Walton Art Center next, why don't we?
Okay, there's 2 terms ending 6/30/25.
I really liked Shabana and Justin.
I would support those 2.
I'm down with that.
Yeah. I can support that as well. I said, especially since Justin is coming back, so definitely want to bring him back. And Shabana just was, yeah, phenomenal. So
She just seems just fascinating, you know, that she shifted her career completely like that, and is so accomplished as well. It's not just a, you know, it wasn't just a shift. I mean, she went from, you know, into being a full-fledged, just very dynamic artist, looks like. So
right, and they already kind of brought her in to work on the team and everything, so she's already familiar with the group. So yeah, I think I could support Justin and Shabana
okay,
for the 2 positions.
all
So
right.
I'll make a nomination for Shabana and for Justin Tennant and Shabana Cosser.
Second that.
Second it. Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and second to accept, to present Justin Tennant and Shabana Cowser. Is that how you say it? Cowser? Her last name? To each serve 1 full term on the Walton Art Center Committee for ending 6/30/25. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, seeing none, that's unanimous. All right, so I'm going to, do you want to move on to EAC, Teresa?
Sure, we can go ahead and move on to that. So I think we had 4 candidates for that. We had Sarah Grace from last night. We had Megan McDaniel tonight, Nicole Harding tonight, and Abby Moser tonight. I'll just jump out there first. I was really impressed with Sarah Grace. She had looked at the past meetings. She had some very good ideas about marketing, and, you know, quite honestly, that's you know, while we do have two staff members that do the recycling and trash and effectively do the marketing and the outreach for some of these things that we need to get across environmentally, I think we don't, on the EAC right now, we don't really have a marketing person. So I like some of her ideas. I thought all of the folks offered something different. But she seemed among the four to be tapped in the most. So that's just sort of how we'll put it out there.
So how many positions do we have open there?
We only have one.
Okay, now before we go on to this, I did catch, so remind me to go back to this, that we have the library board, we have one person applying for that too. So we need, don't let me overlook that one.
Okay.
Okay, so EAC.
So we have one resident at large, term ending 6/30/25. So oftentimes we've had, and I've got it, there's been so much, people roving in and roaming out of the EAC. I think it's pretty dynamic because there's been a lot of people that have gotten on and then they've changed jobs or moved to another area. Mm-hmm. But I think we have a solar person on there right now,
okay.
Which would be what Megan would be sort of her expertise. She's only lived here about a year, so she's relatively new. And then Nicole, she hadn't really looked at the other meetings. And then Abby was really about transportation, which is important with the EAC. We just haven't discussed that lately.
Yeah, and gardens and community gardens and that isn't that one of the parts of the EAC really that promoting habitat?
Yes.
Butterfly garden. I mean, it's kind of totally not what they usually focus on, but
it's very
I thought she was, yeah, I guess really broad.
Yeah.
I thought Abby was really nice, and she just, seemed
enthusiastic, like you said.
Enthusiastic, I mean, so I would like to see her on something sometime. But I did like Sarah Grace myself. I liked her ideas on promoting sustainable lifestyle and, her focus on education and policy. She mentioned we need to focus on education and policy, and she compared it to slowing down and the slow streets that we do in town, and so I did like her.
She connected a lot of different dots.
Yeah,
I would like to nominate Sarah Grace. I also appreciate that she was from Ward 1, and just want to reiterate all the things you've already mentioned, because those are the things I took notes on as well: slowness, slow lifestyle, and the policy changes, sustainable lifestyles. And I think she was also writing a book on that. So that was kind of awesome. So I would nominate Sarah Grace. I
would second that.
Yeah, she's published and very impressive that way too. I was looking at all the things that she worked on. I mean, really good stuff. So yeah, I'm supporting her, certainly. Yes.
So we have a motion and a second to support Sarah Grace for EAC. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Okay. So when does this term end, Teresa?
It ends 6/30/25.
Okay. Now, before I forget, let's talk about the library board, because I skipped over him and I don't want to skip over him again. Poor guy.
Yeah, it's one unexpired term ending 4/1/23. And the mayor recommended Brett Park.
It was 4/1/23.
That's correct.
23, yeah. Something just happened and it just fell through the cracks. I do think it was an honest mistake. I think they just didn't know that his term was expiring, and they didn't mean to put somebody else in over him, but they did. So, okay. All right. So I would support appointing Brett Parks to the library board for the unexpired term ending 4/1/23.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. No opposed. Okay. All right then. So now we've gotten everything except the Arts Council now. And
Yeah, so we have 7 people, if I did my counting right, that have applied. 2 people are re-upping, they're coming back. Robert Stafford and Abby Hollis are coming back. And of course, Abby only did 2 meetings so far, but she's great. Robert's done a full term, and he's somebody we depend on a lot for the Art Council. So maybe Teresa can remind us of the positions that we have.
We actually have 5 total. We have 2
Right.
arts and culture citizen at large terms ending 6/30/25. We have 2 working artist terms ending 6/30/25, and then 1 unexpired working artist term ending 6/30/24.
so we have 5 openings on this. Wow.
Yeah.
So only 2
Yeah.
were reapplying.
Right. Yeah, because that's which you guys heard, we had a situation when during the mural discussion about choosing the mural where there was a topic brought up about kind of a race related topic, and it got brushed over, and then that concluded with some people what do you call it, deciding to not be on the board. Resigning. Thank you. Resigning. This is what happens when you're a mom. Your brain just gets tired. I'm just tired. So I just lose words. So we had 2 people resign, and then of course then we had the openings happening, and then so that's why we have 5, and we know, and our council knows to ask people to send us recommendations.
Okay.
So they all look really, really good. But like I said, 2 are coming back, and I think Robert Stafford is coming in. He's choosing to come in as a working person. So is Abby.
So maybe we should just vote on them right now for those 2 working artist terms ending 6/30/25.
I think so.
A full term. There's that other one. There's that unexpired working artist term ending 6/30/24.
Okay, so are we supporting, would we be in support of Abby and Bob for the longer unexpired art, or the working artist terms ending, what are the 2 dates that they end?
6/30/25.
25.
And the
Yeah.
other one ends in 2024. So
24.
I would suggest that we put them into 2 full terms.
I agree.
And Abby.
Okay.
And they actually applied for that because I think it's listed on their thing. So yes, I support that.
Okay, so let's see. So working artist. So both of the working artist terms in 6/30/25.
That's correct. There's another one that's unexpired that ends at 6/30/24.
Okay, I mean, I would support, I think that's a good way to look at it. These 2 are reapplying. Abby, I really like Abby a lot. I think she seems to bring a lot to the table, and based on what you said, Sonia, I think that's a good assumption that she brings a lot to the table. So
yes.
So I would,
yeah, go ahead.
So do we want to make a motion to support Abby and Abby Hollis and Bob Stafford for those 2 unexpired working artist terms ending 6/30/25?
Those are full terms. Yeah,
they're full terms. Yeah.
Yes, full terms for
full terms.
I'd second that.
Yes.
Okay. So all those in favor of appointing Abby Hollis and Bob Stafford to the full terms, working artist terms ending 6/30/25 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Nay. Nobody. Okay. All right. So do we still have a couple of openings there that are different
Yeah, the
We
arts
have-
and culture citizens at large, right?
Yeah, we have 2 of those, and then that one other unexpired working artist term. And we have
Yeah.
three remaining.
So I was very impressed with Chloe and Laura for the arts and culture. Chloe, she's at the Fayetteville, Experience Fayetteville AMP, and then Laura, she's a writer and worked with Theater Squared, which we don't have a Theater Squared person on there, but we always are concerned about do we have too many big organizations represented? But I do think that she had a really great perspective and was doing some of her own theater work.
Do we have anybody from the Walton Art Center anymore?
No.
Okay.
No. Let's see. Let me look and see I'm looking at where Donnell and Emily and Morgan, where are they from? I feel like, let's see, what was Donnell's story? Let me look at my notes here. Donnell was the retired teacher, the choir teacher. So she didn't have I really like her as a citizen at large actually as well, because she's not connected to any specific group, but she's coming in as an educator. Emily is the stained glass leather worker.
Yes. I liked Emily a lot. I thought she brought an interesting, she said she didn't consider herself an artist, but more of a craftsperson. And she had this long history of volunteering with other organizations, but she's done woodworking, leather work, and stained glass. And she started that last in the pandemic and teaches at the Community Creative Center. So
I really liked her interview a lot. I didn't know a thing about her. The other 2 I know pretty well. And she came in with, she's a talker. And she gave us a lot of information. But maybe it could be down the road because she is relatively new. How long she lived in the community? Maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember.
She was newer too. She was newer.
Maybe.
But the fact that she chose to be here and that she's all excited about it, that is nice.
Right.
She had
from North Carolina. Yeah.
And
a lot of experience.
Yeah. Sarah and I are both on the A&P. I don't know. Sarah, how do you feel about having a representative there? I mean,
I don't think that would be such a bad idea.
I don't either.
But also, they'd have to take a lot. One of the things Chloe said was that we needed an A&P person on there. And I'm like, do you mean experienced Fayetteville person or A&P committee person? And she meant just someone in the
I think
A&P,
she meant experienced Fayetteville.
the umbrella there. But they're, they'd have to be more active in the arts, than they have been.
I agree. I really,
so if they're going to put somebody on there, they need to, they need to bring it up a notch, I think. So what do you guys, I like Chloe a lot. I mean, I think she's.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they've been very active actually. A lot of the contracts and things that we're talking about for the Ramble, Molly Ron and that team have been doing some stuff in there, and the murals that they've been doing, helping to fund. So I feel like they have been doing quite a bit.
That is true. That is true. I shouldn't have said that way, but
I think I like the ex officio idea, but I think just being on the committee at first, just to see how it goes and see the communication and having the channels there and have a liaison, I think that could be very beneficial to both the city and Experience Fayetteville. So, I mean, I don't know, before we just start adding people to committees, I think as far as adding more members, openings or positions, I think just having her on there would be really beneficial and just kind of see how it goes.
Okay, so I would support. Okay, I would support Chloe. Let's see.
I would support any of the 3. I just have to figure out.
I like Laura Hightower as well.
Me too. She's a terrific writer.
Yeah.
So here's what I did, guys, and I want to make sure I've got the right people. So we have 3 openings left, but there's 5 that applied, 5 left that applied. Chloe, Laura, Grant, right? Donnell,
Right.
and Emily. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I
Grant
tell you, Grant
applied-
was fun. I enjoyed that interview a lot with Grant.
Did he applied for the Walton Art Center, I believe.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, okay.
That's
All right.
right, exactly.
Okay, thank you for correcting me. Okay, so there's 4. There's only 4 applicants left for 3 positions.
Yeah. So I mean, I would support Emily to do that unfinished artist position. Just she seems like a maker. She seems like a creator. You know, out of the other 2, or 3, where Chloe and Laura and Donnell are kind of more at large. I feel have an art large vibe. So I would like to nominate Emily for the open the 24. Let's see, what was I called?
6/30/24. I second that. Yep.
Okay, what was that?
6/30/24.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear.
It's the
go ahead.
It's the unexpired working artist term ending 6/30/24.
Okay, so let's take a vote on Emily for the unexpired working artist term ending 6/30/24. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, so that leaves us with 2 positions left, 2 full-time positions. Is that correct?
It is.
Okay.
And it's the open, let's see, arts and culture at large. So we're looking at, let's see, Chloe, Laura, and Donnell. Is that correct, what I have?
That's what I have.
That's what I have, okay. So, I mean, I feel like Chloe really is, I think it'd be good for that communication channel to be there. So I would like to nominate her for one of those positions of the at large. And I would actually like to also go ahead and nominate, that's the other hard one, Laura or Donnell. I like that Laura was talking about cost of housing, and then, Donnell talking about bringing in a wide variety of people to be involved in the ramble. Can we look at the wards? Where are they represented from? Laura and Donnell.
Well, I'm thinking about the experience and the skill from my point of view, because there is so much happening with the ramble and the arts corridor.
Yeah.
And if someone comes on with an understanding of that, I also like that she has a theater connection just in the community, not with a large organization. That helps broaden the perspective.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that we need to be thinking about that. I hope that would maybe then, if we look, that would mean maybe if we went with Chloe and Laura, then we'd really need Donnell to reapply. Hopefully she would.
Agree. I agree with that.
Sorry, I'm trying to writing everything down here, trying to get it all.
And Teresa, pondering, it looks like. What are you pondering, Teresa?
I'm trying to find the wards. So, yeah, so Donnell.
I think I found it. Yeah, Donnell's 1. Wait a minute.
Yeah, Donnell's 3.
Donnell's 3. Laura's 1.
And Laura is 1. And
Lori is 2.
Composition of the board is right now, Sonia. I guess that's also, what does your board look like and where are there gaps?
Right.
So I
well,
you.
Yeah,
Well, we do have a lot of good Ward 1 representation. Both Robert and I are Ward 1 off the top of my head. I don't know. I can't remember where the other ones live. That's a good question. I just know those two. But I do like Mark's point of like thinking about the ramble and what's going to benefit the ramble. And Laura's experience, I think, could really, as a writer, a marketer, could really be awesome. I feel like Chloe as well. So I want to go ahead and nominate Chloe and Laura for the Arts and Culture Citizen at Large 6/30/25 terms.
I'll second that.
Okay, let me write this down here. Chloe Bell, Laura Hightower. And this is for what position?
Citizen at large.
Citizen at large?
Citizen at large. Arts and Culture Citizen at Large.
Okay.
6/30/25.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so we have a nomination to appoint Chloe Bell and Laura Hightower to the 2 citizens at large positions ending 6/30/25. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. None. All right, and so we have, let me go back through here real quick on this. We got Bob Stafford. Let me make sure I get everybody in right here. Okay, Bob. So, okay, working artist. So we had Bob Stafford also for working artists and Abby Hollis. Okay, Abby Hollis. Okay. And Emily is, sorry, Emily is the
Unexpired working artist tour.
okay, yes, sorry, trying to find out which one she was. Emily. Where is Emily? Last name. Emily Miller. Okay. Okay.
So
All right.
hopefully Donnell and Morgan will apply again. So I appreciate the applications and hopefully they will apply again. Yeah, I think we got it on. So you have 5 of them.
Let me go back over this here. So we have for Animal Services Board, we have Jennifer Cole, which is 1 full term, citizen at large. Construction Board of Appeals, we have Richard Roberts, 1 full term. Library Board, Brett Parks, and he is, let's see, what, 1 unexpired term. Term that ends 4/1/23. Walton Art Center, we have Shavonna Kauser and Justin Tennant in 2 full terms ending 6/30/25. And EAC, we have Sarah Grace in a term ending 6/30/25. Peg Gildner, term ending 6/30/25. FHA, excuse me, 26.
26.
Okay, sorry, oops. 26. Okay, and FHA, we have Jonathan Wood and Christina Cole. In terms, I don't know what their terms are.
The only one that's showing up is one unexpired term ending 12/28/26.
Okay, I have, okay, 12, okay, 12, okay. 12/28.
26, that's right. That's what's on, that's what was given to us.
Okay. And so we are going to, I'm going to call the city attorney about this one and find out, but we are going to present it, but not endorse both candidates. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Now for Arts Council, I have Chloe Bell, citizen at large, and Laura Hightower, citizen at large, 2 terms ending 6/30/25. Bob Stafford, working artist, and Abby Hollis, working artist, the terms ending 6/30/25. And Emily Miller, 1 unexpired term, working artist term ending 6/30/24.
Sure.
Have I missed anything?
Sounds good.
Okay.
I think you got it all.
I think so. Normally I print out that sheet, so I have it. I'm just like, I've never gotten here.
You know, with these in
Okay.
order that we received, it was easy to be paperless, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference. Usually I'll print out the sheet that has all the vacancies on it, you know, the number of, you know, what term, and I write it in and I just take a screenshot of it and send it over to the clerk's office, because then I don't have to type it out. But I was out of ink today, so.
So can we stop the meeting, and I just want to have a really quick discussion, if that's okay.
Yes. Jack, could you please stop recording? Okay. So Jack, we need to record
Recording in progress.
again.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, so I have the list of all the names, and I'll get those to the clerk tomorrow. I'll find out about the parade events this weekend, what we need to do on that. And is there any other announcements or concerns that we need to address before we close?
Recording stopped.
Okay,
The
guys.
recording has stopped.
Thank you, Jack.
See you at the parade.
Thanks,
Bye, all.
Jack.
Have a good
All
night.
right.
Good night.
Thanks
Good
a lot,
night.
guys.